JT Show.
What's going on, Smashers, and welcome to another episode of the Smash JT Show, my weekly episodic adventure discussing divisive issues in the video game industry and beyond sometimes. It airs every Friday, and before I forget, hit that subscribe button if you're new here. If you enjoy what I'm making, hit that like button. If you're jealous of my content, hit that dislike button, and let's just jump right into it. This week, we are talking about the future of video games, which is a topic that I seem to touch on more and more as time goes on. It feels like the future of video games is approaching fast, and if you're not familiar with what it's going to be changing into, it's a streaming only future, which is something that a lot of gamers are extremely hesitant to embrace, myself included. But it's happening. Whether you like it or not, a streaming video game future is coming. It makes economic sense, and the games, the technology is going to be there to present them to you at a Netflix-style delivery service where you're able to sign up for these games and have them streamed to whatever platform you're going to have in the future to be able to play them, which is going to completely revolutionize the entire landscape of the video game industry at large. What we know and love today, the likes of Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft with their traditional consoles and the console war that's happening, is about to undergo a major shift. And what I mean by that is two gigantic titans in the tech industry are going to enter the space sooner than a lot of people may think. By the year 2020, 2021, we might actually start seeing this come to fruition. Amazon and Google are both creating cloud streaming services, and the technology at present being shown at CES right now is further proof that the direction the game industry is going is all digital. Collectors will hear this news and give a collective sigh together when they hear the word all digital. It's something that a lot of people don't want to embrace. They don't want to give away the control they have over being able to play the games whenever they want to, which brings up an extremely legitimate argument for an all-digital future. The way video games are handled now, hell, the way DRM is handled in general when it comes to entertainment media, talking about MP3s, MP4s, movies, things like that, when you go all digital, you give up your right as the consumer to basically own the product completely. You are renting it forever. But that comes with a lot of caveats. Just look at the video game industry and how they're handling a streaming future currently. There are games that have come out but due to licensing issues have been removed completely from the store, and if you don't have them already downloaded to your platform of choice, they're gone forever. Like Scott Pilgrim is the example a lot of people use. I believe it also happened with the Turtles game or the Simpsons game. There was another game as well. It's happened in the past, and it's a precursor to what could potentially happen in the future down the road once we start embracing this all-digital future. And as the consumer, it's extremely concerning because you're giving up a lot of your rights to be able to play these games with the convenience that these services will be offering. Hopefully they change that, but the way DRM is handled, the way they sell these games and rent them out, it's not very likely. It's basically the same way that Netflix handles movies and TV shows. They'll be there one month, and they'll add new ones the next month, but some things that were there previously will be gone, and that's not a good idea for the video game industry because a lot of times people are playing these video games and they need them for the long term. They don't just turn a game on, play it once and beat it and be done with it. Like a movie, you sit down and watch and you're done with it. Video games are a completely different entity and need to be treated as such. That's one of the concerns a lot of consumers have with an all-digital future, and it's a question that's easily disregarded by these gigantic titans in the tech industry because they don't want to handle that because it's a lot of legal stuff. It's a lot of problems trying to get the right answer to the consumer, so they just ignore it and say, here's more games on the service, here's what you can play, but what about what we were playing? And that's just one of a slew of concerns that I have with an all-digital future. But it's not all doom and gloom. An all-digital future presents a ton of positives to the consumer or end users. Gamers will be able to stream these games with convenience, avoiding the wasted time of going to the store and buying the physical copy and coming home with it, or going online and buying it via Amazon or an online retailer and waiting for it to get delivered. Everything would be there day one when it's ready. It would be a fairly instant gratification type system. You wouldn't have to worry about downloads. You wouldn't have to worry about how much much memory your system has. Everything would be streaming. Obviously that comes with the other caveats of you need a good connection or else you're going to be screwed. But with the advent of 5G and the new technologies of super fast internet connecting other devices, it seems like it's going to be more and more of a reality as we move closer to the date of these consoles actually coming to fruition. The biggest reason why I wanted to talk about this today is it's going to shift up how we currently look at the video game industry at large right now. Major players, Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, everyone knows that. But what's going to happen to them in the future? Well, Microsoft should be fine because they already have a gigantic investment in cloud computing. Google obviously is going to be a major player, and Amazon is going to be a major player. As for Sony and Nintendo, they're most likely going to be left by the wayside. But removing as much bias as I can here, feel like Nintendo actually may be okay because their first-party titles have such pull. Nintendo is kind of the Disney of video games, where whatever they seem to do turns to gold. Mario and the other IPs that they have will be just fine as time goes on. Of course, you're gonna have the arguments. Tons of people will be always saying that train that Nintendo's gonna eventually go third party and start making games for these cloud services. I don't necessarily see that happening though. Nintendo's always been its own animal. It's always been able to survive on its own by creating incredible game experiences. Sony, not so much. This is one of the concerns I have for the game industry going forward with Sony. I think they might be the odd man out when it comes to the future of streaming services. I don't think people are going to want to purchase the PlayStation 5, PlayStation 6, or whatever comes down the road after that when these other forms of video games are available at a far more affordable price. So I don't know if Sony's going to be as big of a player in the video game industry as they currently are right now. And I say that while they're pretty much on top, which is kind of ironic how the future could destroy that for them. Nintendo, like I said, not so much, because whatever Nintendo will do, they have their IPs, they have a very strong format for how they make their games, and are so successful with quality titles, there'll always be room in people's lives for those. As far as Microsoft's concerned, they'll be just fine in the online environment with their cloud computing services. Amazon maybe might do something with Sony together. I could see that happening. Google might try to do something with them together. For what I'm seeing right now, this is going to be a complete shift in how everybody looks at the video game industry going forward. But I'd be very interested in what you guys have to say about this entire situation. How do you feel about a digital-only streaming future, for the most part, from these gigantic industry tech titans? Are you embracing it? Are you afraid of it? Are you not really looking forward to it? Let me know where you stand on that. Like I said, very interested to hear, and if it's something that you would not be embracing, what would you do for gaming instead? Would you just go to whatever Nintendo's making? Would you just stick to retro? There's a lot of options, so let me know. And on that topic, I want to move on to this week's smashing video of the week. And ironically, it comes to us from Nicktendo Direct, who also talks about the future of gaming. But this is in a different light. It's talking about Nintendo's online streaming service and how they need to get with the times, relating it to Napster and how Napster had the music being sent out to everybody, and how Nintendo is really holding on tight to their IPs and completely overvaluing them to the point of actually hurting their image in the public light. It's a great video. You can tell he put a lot of time and research into, and it definitely gets you thinking. So check it out. I'll put a link down in the description below. And for this week's smashing movie of the week, I actually watched a movie. It's been a while. I don't really watch many movies, but I saw BirdBox on Netflix, and no spoilers here, don't worry. For those of you who didn't see the movie, I would strongly recommend watching it. The odd thing about this movie was it seems to split the audience right down the middle, where people either hate it or love it. Not many people are whatever about it. There's no average about this. Most people are very split on how they feel about this, and me personally, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a fantastic movie, but then again, a lot of people didn't like it, so watch it for yourself and let me know what you thought about it. And with that being said, that's where I'm going to leave this episode. Again, I want to say a special thank you to all the Patreons listed on the screen right now. Without your monthly pledge, I would not be able to continue doing this, so thank you. If anybody out there is interested in joining them for as little as $1 per month, put a link down on the screen right there. And if you haven't already, you enjoy what I'm doing, hit the subscribe button and the like. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.